Have you ever wondered how conflicts over invisible lines on the world's oceans can escalate into international disputes? A question that takes us into the murky waters of maritime disputes between global powers like the USA and Russia. These disputes often originate from disagreements over territorial waters and exclusive economic zones, or EEZs for short. Now, these may sound like abstract concepts, but they are far from it. Imagine an invisible boundary extending around a country's coastline. That's what we call territorial waters. Now stretch that boundary a bit further, and you have the EEZs. These zones are like the country's own backyard in the ocean, places where they hold special rights over resources. But why do they matter? Well, beneath these waters lie vast reserves of oil, gas, and a treasure trove of marine life. Therefore, controlling these zones means having a grip on immense geopolitical and economic power. As we delve deeper, we'll see how these invisible lines become flashpoints for major global powers. Now that we understand the roots of these maritime disputes, how have they evolved over time? Let's start our journey in the era of the Cold War. This was a time of intense geopolitical rivalry, and the high seas were not immune to this tension. The Cod Wars between the USA and Russia were a reflection of this dynamic, where fishing rights in the Atlantic became a microcosm of the larger ideological battle. Fish, after all, were a vital resource, and controlling these resources was a matter of national security. As we moved into the post-Cold War era, the nature of these disputes started to shift. The ideological battle lines were blurred, but new challenges emerged. One significant flashpoint has been the Arctic resource scramble. With the melting ice caps revealing vast reserves of untapped natural resources, both the USA and Russia have been keen to stake their claim. But this is not just about oil and gas. The Arctic is also a strategic gateway, offering new shipping routes and military advantages. So, the Arctic resource scramble is not just a race for resources, it's also a race for strategic dominance. And then there's the factor of increasing demand. As the world's population grows and develops, the demand for resources has skyrocketed. This has only added fuel to the fire of these maritime disputes. The high seas, once seen as a vast, limitless expanse, are now being carved up and claimed as nations grapple with the pressures of resource scarcity. Finally, let's not forget the shifting geopolitical landscape. In a world where power is increasingly diffused, maritime disputes have become a way for nations to assert their influence and protect their interests. As we can see, the stakes have only risen over time, with dwindling resources and geostrategic considerations fueling tensions. As we sail into uncharted waters, it's clear that these maritime disputes will continue to shape the relationship between the USA and Russia. And as our journey continues, we'll see how these tensions might play out in the future. So, what does the future hold for these maritime disputes? As we continue to navigate these uncharted waters, the impacts of climate change and the melting Arctic ice are becoming increasingly hard to ignore. These environmental shifts are not just transforming our physical world, they're reshaping the geopolitical landscape as well. The North Pole and the Northern Sea Route, for instance, are becoming potential flashpoints. As the ice recedes, these once inaccessible regions are opening up, sparking new disputes over resource extraction rights and territorial claims. But it's not all doom and gloom. These challenges also present opportunities for international cooperation. The role of international law and diplomacy in resolving these disputes cannot be overstated. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, for instance, provides a framework for peaceful dispute resolution. It's a testament to the power of dialogue and diplomacy, and its importance will only grow as these disputes escalate. At the same time, technology is playing a pivotal role. From sophisticated mapping techniques to advanced surveillance systems, these tools are helping to monitor, manage, and mitigate maritime disputes. They're becoming the compass that guides us through these uncharted waters. While the future is uncertain, one thing is clear: maritime disputes will continue to shape the geopolitical landscape. As we sail into the future, it's crucial that we navigate these disputes with foresight, diplomacy, and a respect for international law. In conclusion, maritime disputes, particularly between the USA and Russia, are complex and evolving. We've delved into the origins of these disputes, charted their evolution, and glimpsed at potential future scenarios. Like navigating uncharted waters, understanding these disputes is a journey, fraught with uncertainty but ripe with discovery. Do subscribe to our channel and share this video to stay informed about the fascinating world of geopolitics. Remember, Knowledge is power.